Assalamu alaikum everybody, welcome back to Quran Book Club. I just finished reading Surah 11, HUD. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, I'm not gonna have anything to talk about in this chapter. I read a good couple of verses and I was like, I don't really feel like there's anything new to expand upon. And then I kept getting hit by verse after verse after verse after verse after verse that I had to keep closing my YouTube and open my notes, and I was writing a lot of stuff down, so we have some stuff to cover, so let's get into it. Also, nobody make fun of me and my hair. It was a very humidity-based night out last night. My hair is up in a bun, and honestly, you should not be looking at women and judging them like that anyway, so let's get into it. Like usual, I think for this first video for this surah, I'm just going to do like random verses that don't really fit into a category, and then I'll make separate videos for things that I think need separate topics and separate conversations for. So my first random thing I want to talk about is verse 9. If we give people a taste of our mercy, then take it away from them, they become utterly desperate, ungrateful. But if we give them a taste of prosperity after being touched with adversity, they say, my ills are gone, and become totally prideful and boastful. Except those who patiently endure and do good, it is they who will have forgiveness and a mighty reward. Now, I would like everyone to give their own interpretations of this, because every time I read it, I'm like, yes, I really, like, this, like, I understand, and it, like, sits in me. But every time I try to, like, explain it, I don't think I really can, like, verbally express 9 and 10, but 11, I think I can express. 11 says, except those who patiently endure and do good, it is they who will have forgiveness and a mighty reward. Now, this is kind of an idea that I have liked to try and live my life by. I feel like a lot of things in my life might go bad, and I might be like, and I'm kind of quick to think, like, I'm a good person, like, I try my best to do good and help everybody and do what I think is best for society and for those around me. And, like, why am I getting bad karma right now? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm being a nice person. But those who patiently endure and do good, it is they who will have forgiveness and a mighty reward. Inshallah, I hope on Judgment Day that God would see that I did my best to patiently endure and do good, and I hope that He would judge me favorably. And I think from verses 9, 10, 11, 11 is the one that I resonate with personally. Another random verse that I felt like stuck with me and I resonated with, because I felt like I was already trying my best to do this, is verse 23. Surely those who believe, do good, and humble themselves before their Lord will be residents of paradise. They will be there forever. Now, I might engage in some haram activities. I am not gonna lie. I learned from the Bhagavad Gita as well that I do love to engage in some sinful and lustful and worldly activities. That book called me out, and I tried my best to not do some of those, and I don't know how well I did. The Quran is also definitely calling me out for engaging in some haram activities, and I'm not speaking about being transgender, so don't even go there. I'm talking about other ones, and some more worldly desires. But verse 23 again says, surely those who believe, do good, and humble themselves before their Lord will be residents of paradise. They will be there forever. And honestly, I do feel like I do all three of those things. Surely those who believe, I do believe in a God, in a superior being. I honestly believe in a lot of gods. I believe that most gods are kind of referencing the same God and same idea. But after reading Quran and listening to everybody, I do believe in this God. I really do. I don't know if I personally believe in only this God, which seems to be a big conflict to some other verses I've been reading, and we will get into that in a different video. I want to talk about polytheism versus monotheism in a different video, so we can save some thoughts for that. But it also says do good. I try my best to do good. I really do. And humble themselves before the Lord, and they will be residents of paradise. I do try to stay as humble as possible. Sometimes it's easy to get a big ego, especially in, I think, today's day and age, given social media and the drive to be, like, famous. But I do believe, inshallah, God willing, I do think that God would see for me that I do try my best to stick to those three core ideas throughout my life. Okay, this next part I want to talk about is actually not necessarily a verse. It's actually a footnote, but I will read the actual verse for you. So for those following along in this Quran, It is verse 27 and is footnote 411. Verse 27 reads, "The disbelieving chiefs of his people said, 'We see you only as a human being like ourselves.'" And this is in reference to Noah. And we see that and we see that no one follows you except the lowliest among us, who do so hastily without thinking. And then it says in the footnote, this is what I want to talk about. "Typically, the poor and the helpless are the first to believe in prophets, taking them as saviors, whereas the rich and powerful are hesitant to believe, perceiving the new faith as a threat to their influence." Yeah, a threat to your influence because you're hoarding your wealth. And you're not treating people kindly. And I think that is an idea that has resonated with rich people since the time that this was probably written all the way up to now. You rich people, I'm sure a lot of you struggle to be religious because a lot of you struggle to be good people. And a lot of you struggle to be kind to those around you. And I can understand why rich people would have a really hard time vibing with Islam and the Quran, because they don't follow a lot of these concepts. And they are, a lot of rich people, at least in America where I live, all the rich people are terrible, terrible people. So I really liked that verse because I'm usually a hater of rich people. So those are my random thoughts from random verses. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'm about to make some more videos about more specific topics in this surah. So stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. You already know what time it is. It is Quran Book Club. We are in Surah 11, HUD. And it is time... it is time for everybody's favorite segment, which is I am so irritated by the pagans. Pretty much the same things repeated over and over and over again, that they don't believe and that blah, 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 blah. So I'm not going to go and expand on it for 10 minutes because we already know how I feel about the pagans. However, I just have a funny question. Verse 12, pagans' annoyances is what it's referred to as. It says, "Perhaps you, O prophet, may wish to give up some of what is revealed to you and may be distressed by it, because they say, 'If only a treasure had been sent down to him, or an angel had come down with him.' You are only a warner, and God is the trustee of all affairs." 13. "Or do they say, 'He has fabricated the Quran'? Say, O prophet, produce 10 fabricated chapters like it, and seek help from whoever you can, other than God, if what you say is true. But if your helpers fail you, then know that it has been revealed with the knowledge of God, and that there is no God worthy of worship except him. Will you not then submit to God?" I am just genuinely curious. Did the pagans ever try and write a verse on their own? I actually would love to hear it. Only because they keep saying this over and over again. We could write what you wrote. We could say what you said. It really wouldn't be that hard. And the response is always, okay, then do it. Bet. Like, did they ever do it? If so, does anyone know where I could read it or hear it? Because I would actually love to hear what they came up with. Because I personally don't think that I could write a Quran or a Bible or a Bhagavad Gita. Like, I don't think I could write a religious text. I really don't think I could. So I would like to know if they tried. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Quran Book Club. We are on Surah 11 HUD, and I would like to make a comparison to my other favorite religious book, the Bhagavad Gita. We are going to talk about verses... Actually, what verses are we talking about? Let me check my notes. We are going to talk about verses 15 and 16. 15 says, Whoever desires only this worldly life and its luxuries, we will pay them in full for their deeds in this life. Nothing will be left out. It is they who will have nothing in the hereafter except the fire. Their efforts in this life will be fruitless, and their deeds will be useless. Now, in the Quran, it seems that this life that we live here on earth, and this material worldly world, is a test from God to determine your fate on Judgment Day. That is the vibe I seem to be getting. I would like to raise a counter perspective that the Hindus believe in, that I also think is a fair... I also think is pretty... I understand the thought process, and I kind of rock with the thought process as well. It's a little conflicting, but Hindus, if you're not aware, believe in the idea of reincarnation. So once I die on this earth, either I will be reincarnated again, either as a human, as in this spot of social standing, maybe down here if I made bad choices, maybe up here if I made good choices, or if I made really, 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 really good choices, I would not have to be reborn again, and I would just be living in a state of bliss. So, the idea in Hinduism is that this world, the material world, is also a test. And if you are wrapped up in the material world and you're wrapped up in things like money and fame and items, material items, that it's not that when you die you will be like sent to hell and punished. It is the idea that you will be born again and you have to do all of this over again, and you basically keep going over and over and over again until you pass your test. Now, I kind of believe in this idea myself because I think that this world that we live in sucks. Personally, I think living on Earth kind of sucks. I think that there is a lot going on that is terrible. And I personally don't know if I would want to live another 100-year life cycle on this Earth. That doesn't really sound fun to me. It kind of does sound like a punishment to me as well. But I really do love this idea because even since I was a little kid, because when I grew up with Christianity, it was not taught that you are reincarnated. It is taught that when you die, you either go to heaven or hell for the rest of eternity. In Islam, it seems to be a little bit more forgiving. That it seems like you go to hell for a certain period of time, or you're punished for certain things for a certain time, and then you get to go to Jannah. But in Hinduism, there is no hell. It's just that you're born again, and you have to do all this again until you finally get it through your skull and do it correctly. But I always, as a kid, believed in being reincarnated. I didn't really think that I knew that when you died, I felt like when you died, it couldn't just be nothing, because nothing is nothing. And I can't go from experiencing something to experiencing nothing for all of eternity. Then I would be experiencing something, which is the black void or whatever it is, right? I always felt like we got reincarnated. I always felt like I would be born again. I always wished to be born again as a girl. I made that dream possible in this life. But, I don't know. I just wanted to introduce a different concept because I think the same core idea of this is a test and you should make the best choices and not live a life full of worldly desires is similar. Just the outcome after death is different versus going to Jannah or hell versus going to heaven or hell for eternity versus for a certain time versus you just have to get reincarnated and do it all again. So, yeah, that's just my thought process on that.